Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews and connections in mind, and welcome back to another installment in my reaction series to each and every episode of the 7th and final season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, if you've never seen any of my other reaction episodes before, this is just my short form reaction series where I give my brief recap of the latest episode of whatever show I'm watching. In this case, it's just S.H.I.E.L.D. What I thought worked, what I thought didn't work about that episode, as well as some analysis as to certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Now, just to get this out of the way, this will be a full spoiler reaction going from this point forward. So if you've not seen the latest episode of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yet, I highly recommend stopping at this point and coming back later, because this will be full-on spoilers from here on out. So without further ado, with that being said, let's get into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, Episode 7, entitled The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mack and the D, in which we find Mack and Deke stranded in the year 1982. Mack still reeling after the revelation that the Chronicoms have killed his parents, and how he's reacted to that, obviously not well. He's gone into isolation. He's separated himself from Deke. Deke's running his own life at this point. At least a month has gone by, or not a month. Probably about a year has gone by at this point. The clock rolls over to 1983, and it is revealed that not only did Coulson survive the explosion from last week's episode, which destroyed not only the majority, if not all, of the Hunter Chronicoms from the previous from the ship, but also himself and Sybil, the head Chronicom. Not only did Coulson's consciousness survive, and he's now a face in a TV, kind of like, I guess, Mack's Headroom or whatever, but Sybil has survived somehow, and she is building rebuilding a robot army in the 80s to try and continue the mission of destroying humanity in the past, or destroying S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past in order to conquer Earth later. So Deke has assembled his own team of pseudo-agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he assembles this in order, A, to fight the Chronicoms, but also to lure Mack out of his grief-stricken daze. And the team must now fight the Chronicoms in their new form in the 80s in order to stop them. But of course, the Chronicoms are trying to, it is revealed that they are trying to regain the time stream, which is this thing that looks very similar to what the ancient one used in Avengers Endgame to show the different timelines and what the different threads are of the timeline that they need to pull in order to enact the outcome that they want. It was stuck in the rubble of the lighthouse since after the explosion in 1976, and so now the Chronicles are trying to get to it. They eventually do, and the end of this episode sees Mack and Deke reunited with the team on Zephyr 1 after approximately 20 months that Deke and Mack have been living in the 80s. And also, the Chronicoms, Sybil is also a face in the TV, and she has teamed up with Nathaniel Malick, who has apparently recovered from his ordeal with trying to integrate Daisy's powers into his own physiology, which it is yet to be revealed whether he actually has Daisy's powers or not, but he's somehow survived, and he's now teamed up with Sybil, and they now have the time stream, so the threat to S.H.I.E.L.D. and humanity continues going into next week's episode. What I thought worked about this episode is the fact that I mean, we're still well in the era of 80s nostalgia, and just send up to all the great tropes of 80s pop culture, and this episode is drenched in it. I'm very appreciative of those tropes, and I think this episode does it very well. There's so many references in here. I'm sure I'm gonna miss many of them when naming them all. Some things I saw is just going to dive straight into some analysis here. The fact that this whole episode has sort of a framing device where it's being told as a debriefing between May and Deke, and it's told as a flashback. That's very. I found that reminiscent of Atomic Blonde, my personal favorite movie of 2017, where they sort of do that. Also reflected in the awesome old-style computer text title card that they use this time. I'm just a sucker for that visual. I'm one of those weirdos who I nostalgically miss using a computer with that type of interface. My library used to have that back in the 90s, so I just kind of miss that. Also, the fact that Sybil's new body, the new Chronicom body, they say Max calls them Short Circuit in the episode. Obviously, it's a reference to Short Circuit. The fact that the head sensor is the woo 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 thing, reminiscent of Kit from Knight Rider from the 80s, and also the reimagined Cylons from Battlestar Galactica. That visual with the robots. Very impressive, very obvious. The fact that Deke's team, they get a A-Team style introduction with the that's Olga's or whatever. Then the freeze frame and the stencil font title card, very A-Team. There's as I said, Coulson, very Max Headroom. I could go on and on. I'm sure there's plenty that are in there that I missed. I mean, obviously Terminator with killer robots and stuff, especially the visual of the search and destroy sort of thing. I'm sure there's others. And I just gotta point out the fact that in a series that has so far it doesn't always stay entirely sanitary as far as like cleaning up, like it shows blood or whatever, and when someone gets shot, or if some terrible visuals or kind of disturbing visuals like the like hive sucking the life out of bodies or whatever in season 3, but it doesn't happen very often. So it was kind of a surprise, almost kind of a pleasant surprise, when the Chronicoms are loose in the base, and they when they start killing people, it's such a way where it's like very cheesy, over the top gore fest when they go like unrealistically large blood splatter and pools when someone gets chopped up into pieces, and it's kind of hilarious, honestly, which is maybe indicative of something else. I don't know, but it's not something you normally see on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I will say. There are exceptions, obviously, but again, it's sort of an unusual sight, and I kind of appreciate it for it. I will say the fact that I think I can point to the film that the showrunners were very excited to make this episode, I'm sure, to fit all these kind of references in. And I think I can see a legitimate argument where there's a certain amount of whiplash with how this episode kind of bounces back and forth so much between genres and 80s references. It kind of makes you not be able to catch your breath at times. And I can see that could be sort of a detriment to some people watching. So maybe I thought it worked, but I can see how it might not work for other people. But overall, I thought it was just a very fun episode. I thought it was a great way to have some new guest actor characters show up in the 80s band characters. But actually, now that I think about it, that could be like a Gem and the Holograms sort of thing, where they're like the secret spy organization disguised as a band. Another reference. So if you're typing that in the comments, I point that out, or maybe I misremember that wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. But overall, I thought this was a very fun episode. The next couple episodes, at least from the preview, next week's episode looks maybe a little bit more by the numbers as far as the season's gone. But there's just a fun excuse to spend a little time in a time period as they're jumping from point to point. Like I said, we're still in the middle of this 80s craze, and it would be in a time jumping season, it would be like a crime not to include something about the 80s, and I think they did it very well. So, like I said, I thought this was a great episode. I can't wait to see what they do next week. What did you think of this week's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Like I said, what did I miss in my analysis? I'm sure I missed a reference at some point or another. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. And if you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. And be sure to tune in next week for my review of next week's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And fingers crossed, let's hope that we can all safely go into the theaters on August 12th for Tenet, which will be my next scheduled new movie release in quite a while. So, again, fingers crossed for that. Hope you guys are staying safe. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.